Are you happy with that win?
Yeah, definitely. First set obviously was a little bit easier, but I think she raised her level for sure. And, I think my service games were really good, got me out of trouble a couple of times. And, overall, I'm just happy to be out here, happy to have another win, happy to get to go play tomorrow.
Honestly, what were your expectations before this tournament?
Not very high. I was like, if I get a set, I'll be happy. Like, that's a win. Because, it's always tough to come back and everyone's in the middle of their season. And so I definitely had really low expectations, which is probably why when I was up there, I was, like, serving for the match in the first round, I was like, oh, this is exciting. Like, I didn't think this was going to happen. So I'm just really happy with all of it.
Are you seeing how you're hitting the ball in practice completely translate to how you're doing in the match court?
It definitely feels like that. And I think it's good because last year I feel like there were so many matches where I had to figure it out and tough it out and wasn't playing well. And these last two matches have kind of been, minor hiccup, but it seems like everything is like, okay, this is what I've been working on. I've been trying to come to the net more. I've been trying to do this more. It feels like I'm doing that in matches.
Do you feel like being away from the game in any way made you see it more clearly?
It definitely made me appreciate it a lot more. The end of the season, kind of like from U.S. Open on, was really tough for me. Everything was painful, and it was really hard to just get myself out there and keep practicing and keep doing it. And being in Singapore was great, but it was also like, God, this is a grind. Like, I can't wait to get to the finish line. And so now being able to hit, and it's like, it's pain-free, it's great. So that's definitely been a big blessing for me.
How have you pulled up? How did you feel after your first match physically? I talked to a bunch of players who, had 3 or 4 weeks off, and they were like, yeah, I could not walk after my first match. So how did you
Yesterday I was like, oh my God, like my back hurts, my shoulders hurt, everything is sore. There's like areas I didn't think had muscles hurt, like everything hurt. And so, oh, my grandma's calling me. Sorry. Yeah, everything was so sore. And I was laughing. I was talking to James Blake, and I was like, you forget that stuff. Like, you forget how, like, you can't move the next day. But I was like, hey, it's a good sore. Like, I won. It would hurt a lot more if I had lost that.
Oh,
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
So with that in mind, you do have to play again tomorrow right away. Are you worried about that being a problem?
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I think once you kind of get into the groove and you've had that first match, you've dealt with those nerves, all of that, you kind of settle in a lot of ways, so I'm not really concerned about that.
Are you surprised with the scoreline tonight, Madison, given the epic match you guys had at the US Open not that long ago? What was the difference between then and now?
I'm just glad it wasn't like that. I think I knew that at any point she could kind of step up her level, because I don't think she played as well as she wanted to tonight. So I kind of knew that at every moment, every opportunity that I had was one that I had to be smart about. And I'm still kicking myself about that missed return at 3-1 break point. Because it's little moments like that where you can let someone back in. So that was the one thing where I knew I was going to have to be really good about that. And, she played a much better second set, so it really could have gone either way.
Wrist injuries kind of suck. Wrist surgery sucks. And
It does.
we've seen that.
Yes.
So how scared were you, and what was the most worried that you got about the state of your career, comeback, any of that?
I was fairly nervous going in, and then when you're in a cast, it's like you can't really think about it. You don't really know what's going on in there, and then they take it off and you like go to move your wrist and you're like, oh, it's not moving. Okay. That's when like the first like stress really hit me, and it wasn't fun. But then it was, slowly getting my range of motion back and stuff, which, by the way, rehab sucks too.
Did you do like the minor move, like the little micro movement?
Oh yeah, like I couldn't do anything. Like for the longest time, I still like couldn't turn like my steering wheel, and I couldn't use my left hand doing this and that, and it was tough. It was really stressful, and there were so many times when I'd be fine for like a week or a month or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'd just be like, oh my god, guys, what if I never win a match again? What if it's like over? And that's when my team was really great about just being like, take a breath. It is fine. Like, you won matches when every time you hit the ball, you were like in horrible amounts of pain. Like, you can do this. And then kind of like, okay, I can do that. But I mean, this tournament has helped kind of ease a lot of that as well.
Similar path to US from US Open where you play Osaka, it looks like, barring some major tournament, you're going to play Wozniacki next. What do you remember about that match in New York? She was very good that day.
She was very good that day, and it seemed like she found my backhand all of the time. And at that moment, I was just like, this is horrible. But no, I mean, I think she played so well that day. But granted, different courts, different time, all of that. So she's always tough, and she's been playing really well this year, being in 2 finals already. So it's going to be a tough match. And again, I'm just like, hey, I get to have another one. Like, I get to go out and have another, scouting report and all of that. So I'm excited about it.
It's not often that players get that much amount of time, injury aside, but even once you start to come back, get like a contained block to like work on their game and fine tune and work on physical stuff as well. Are there things that are different? Is there a Maddie 2.0 right now? Like, are there things that have been added to your game that you maybe worked on, or that you find that you're much better at now than you were before?
Well, if you haven't noticed, I've come to the net a couple of times. I hit a drop shot.
Good.
Thank you. I was really proud of myself, too. Like, yeah, that was good. I've worked on my slice a ton, obviously, because I had months where I couldn't do anything else. So there's a lot of things that I got to work on, which was great. And I also got to work with Scott for like the longest period of time without a tournament coming up, and so we worked on a lot of just little things that we haven't been able to. So I feel like I'm in the best shape that I've probably ever been in, and just feeling more comfortable coming to net, using a slice, all of that. So in a lot of ways it was really good to kind of just have the time to work on my game.
Madison, from our perspective as media people, like, we would look at you and Naomi as kind of like the future of the women's game and potentially winning slams or playing slam finals. Do you see it the same way, or do you see that there might be other players you'd share the future with? How does your perspective differ or is the same to ours? Do you even think about that?
To be honest, I don't really think about it. I do think she's already a good player. I think she's going to be a great player. She reminds me a lot of myself and how she plays. And I think she's going to figure out how to put her game together. When you hit that big and you have those options, sometimes it's tough to make the right decision. So I think she's going to be a really good player. And, as far as thinking of myself that way, I've kind of surprised myself in a lot of ways, being in the top 10 and all of that. And it's taken a while for me to think, this is where I got here myself and I deserve to be here. So that still sometimes is kind of hard for me to fully accept, but, I'd happily play a slam final against Naomi Osaka one day.
Are you early going through? Are you planning on playing Fed Cup at the moment? Are you available?
I'm available. It's pretty close to Orlando, so I figure I could drive. So even if I don't play, I'll probably be there supporting and all that.